This rocker link was custom made by one heck of a subscriber, and it could transform this bike. But why? In the last video, we took this $450 Walmart bike and put $6,000 worth of parts on it, only to find it rode a lot better. It climbed frustratingly well, it was quiet, and of course, the suspension felt pretty dang good. But I never did feel great about this rocker link. Getting the rear suspension to fit required a hodgepodge of shims and 3D printed spacers. And while it works, it's nowhere near as stout as what you would find on a higher end mountain bike. But then, a guy named Josh made me this custom CNC'd link that fits this bike and the shock perfectly. Let's install it and see how much it improves our rear suspension. I had pressed these 3D printed spacers on really tight, and I had even made them inset so that the washers would fit flush. But now we're ripping it all apart. This does not feel smooth at all, and I'm wondering if a new link will even fix that, and so let's dig in. I can't even turn it. Okay, the bearings in the frame feel like garbage, and I started to look for replacements, but it turned out that Joshua engineered them out of this link. Says, I took it apart and found the suspension on the one I received barely moved with the shock removed. It goes on to say that there's a little insert over there. I'm gonna pop the bearings out, and then the bearings are brand new inside his pivot. You get that? Instead of the bearings being in the frame, the bearings are in the pivot now, and they're much nicer. Oh, look at how smooth it is. So sweet. This is an absolute night and day difference. It's so smooth. Time to mount the shock. It was much easier to install the shock on this link, but fitment is only part of it. Those two plates were joined together with an 8mm pin because of cost limitations. One-piece rockers are stiffer, more predictable, and frankly, something you take for granted on a higher-end bike. When riding through chunky terrain, a bike will flex and twist in every direction. You want to minimize that and ensure both sides of your linkage are moving in perfect unison. A one-piece rocker will all but guarantee that. We also reduced the part count here significantly, which can lead to a more reliable, predictable experience. Now I'm itching to test this thing, but first, it's time to stare at it. I love the little etching of the state of North Carolina and the Burn Peak logo on the drive side, and on the non-drive side, we have the Bonesaw logo. Now, I named this iteration of this bike the Bonesaw as a nod to the Walmart bikes of old, which all had crazy names like the Hyper Havoc, or the Mongoose Skull Crusher, or the Kent Hydrogen Bomb, or the Schwinn Cuban Missile Crisis. And I think you get the idea. And if we covered this Ozark Trail logo, you might not realize that this bike originally cost $450, although to be fair, there's not that much left of that bike. And now, it's probably gonna climb awesome. Okay, that was exhausting. It climbs awesome like a good 100mm bike should. The question is, does it climb better than it did before? It's hard to say. I did have excellent traction on the rear wheel, and I think it felt smoother. I don't know if it afforded me any more advantages. The question is, does it descend better? We changed every part on this bike and some. In addition to this link, we've got high-end wheels, sweet suspension, some great brakes, and everything in between. Because the parts run so smoothly, any little issue with the bike sticks out like a sore thumb, And on my first ride, I said this about how the rear suspension felt. Anyone who has ridden a high-end mountain bike would notice something was off. They would take it to the bike shop and say, this doesn't feel right, I can't really explain it. It's easy to see how simply upgrading the parts doesn't address everything. So in other words, it just didn't quite feel like it now costs. So the question is, did this link tune that weird feeling out of the bike? All I know is I'll be sad to see this bike go when we donate it later today. Does it feel better? Yeah, I think so, if only because we got the linkage running smoother. It's hard to isolate the exact reason it feels better, but it definitely does. And I'm happy it does because Josh, who made this link, had this to say. I have about $500 of my own money into this project. I'm happy to spend that, but it puts into perspective how much things cost to make. I don't want to make any of these to sell, but with the hours I put into making two, if I were to try to break even, these would cost over $1,000 each. And that 500 bucks doesn't include the cost of the bike he bought to fit the thing. So we've added yet another preposterous part to this bike, and I did say we're giving it away, so what about Whistler? Yes, I said I'd be taking this bike to Whistler, and while I am going to Whistler in a few days, I've been having second thoughts about bringing the FS2 with me. I'd be hauling an additional bike 3,000 miles away at great expense, so that I'd then be under pressure to do with it what I promised, and that's riding a 100mm trail bike I'm not totally used to on some of the baddest trails in the world. Honestly, I think it would hold up fine, but that doesn't make it any less dangerous. I haven't ridden Whistler since before the pandemic, and even then, it was on a longer travel bike I was very used to riding. Is it worth the risk? I think we all know the answer. Nevertheless, I owe you guys a big gnarly descent. So let's take this on a real ride right now. I've got a long climb ahead of me, and actually I'm not dreading any of this. Usually when I go from a high-end bike to a bike that kind of creaks and rattles and does annoying things, I'm kind of just working, but this doesn't feel like work. It feels like I'm riding a bike that I love on a trail that I love. No cars allowed on this road, so you're gonna be all right, buddy. This is the gravel climb that doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. I couldn't even say that right. It does end. And then we're gonna climb a little bit of single track and get to the fun stuff. I just realized that I have my damper in like climb mode all morning. You push this twice, there's fully locked, there's half locked, and then I didn't do that. Huh. Well, it'll be plusher this time. I promise we get to go downhill soon. Here's where it really begins. This link has been performing flawlessly today. There are no loose bolts, go Loctite. I think it's gonna perform great on this descent. I've actually done it before on the Kent Trouvaille, but I was going a lot slower, and I suspect we're gonna have a lot more fun today. Okay. This gets tricky. There's a move up here that I don't suspect I'm gonna get. Oh, yeah, not gonna session that. That's a derailleur biter. 1, 2, 3, 4 rattlesnakes. Let's get the f out of here. Just waiting for people to mess up on this little techie climb. Now I think every route is a rattlesnake. There are a couple tricky moves up here as well. Here it comes. Okay, keep to your left here. Sneak down that. And unless you want to go off that diving board rock, Yes. Whew. I love these tight little hand cut sections way up in the clouds. Take that high line and thank me later. That's the first time I messed up on that one. So that stuff back there was just Rudy and technical, but we're about to get into some stuff where I am seriously underbiked. There are just tons and tons of steps that are spaced awkwardly, and this is gonna hurt. You can really hear those cables slapping around. Okay. My back. Okay. That kind of hurts. You can create some flow in there. You've got some serious skill or a lot of travel. Oh, my legs are cramping up. On a descent. All right, everything looks and feels great. This is not your granddaddy's Walmart bike, that's for sure. All right, we got a few more downhill sections, really fun ones. Oh yeah. My God, the dirt is amazing today. Okay, check out this move here. Ooh, I'm starting to sound like an old man. Oh, whew. There we go, some flow. Oh, this is so good. All right, we're almost there. That hurt a little bit, but super fun. Whew, okay, any damage here? I see a couple of pings in the rim. Tight linkage. It's perfect. That's the benchmark for a good mountain bike. You can take it on gnarly trails back to back and not have to fix anything. Just hose it off and take it out again. Okay, actually, that's what all my noise was. I actually had my B screw back itself out. It feels super loose. I've never had that happen before. I'm gonna have to put some Loctite on it. There we go. Right after I said this bike can handle anything, the high-end part on the back rattled loose. So this is goodbye. That was my last ride on the Bone Saw. Does it feel as good as other short travel bikes like my Revel Ranger? No, it doesn't, but it feels really good, and it has this kind of built not bought vibe that I really love. Like, I would want to own this bike, but it needs to find a home where it's actually going to get ridden, and so I'm going to go put Loctite on that bolt and bring it to Coach John, where it will go to use as a loaner bike with the NICA team, and everybody's probably going to be fighting over this thing. I started out kind of skeptical of this bike, and indeed, I wasn't as impressed as some of the other reviewers, but still, I can't believe this day is upon us where you can do this to a Walmart bike. It's got through axles, it's got routing for a dropper post, it has horsed link, and against all odds, the brand Ozark Trail is starting to develop a reputation, at least in this price range. So hope you enjoyed building and testing a $7,000 cross-country bike. that came from a $450 Walmart bike. I hope you learned something, and if you didn't, I hope you at least found this video series entertaining. I left a playlist link below so you can binge the whole thing. Thanks for riding with me today, and I'll see you next time. Ooh.